What up, brothers? It's Clip King returning for a really quick pickup video. I think most of my subscribers or friends will know I've already reviewed the Robocop figure from Hot Toys, the 2.0. A good friend of mine, Chris, lent it to me on release, but his version with a chair. I did review it in full, and a couple of things I thought would be worth a mention in this video. Firstly, when I reviewed Chris's, I was very delicate with it. I didn't want to get too extreme with the articulation. I didn't want to start pulling pieces on and off it, so to speak, the interchangeable parts. So I'm really careful with it. I just think there's a couple of things would have been worth a mention. I'm possibly going to do a full review and get a scores, but I thought that this little short video would just cover a few of the things that I didn't really elaborate on in the review. And I don't know if it makes me a bad reviewer or did I just overlook it because I was trying to be delicate with the figure. I will say, as you can see, I've got it set up on the shelf with the sort of the movie sci-fi hero, so to speak. So you've got the Dredd at the front, the DX13 Terminator, the mix of the DX13 and the DX10 Terminator there, the new Please Shoot Out Terminator, and at the back the classic Predator. And as you can see, I've got Robocop in the middle. So we'll get it cleared away, and I just want to show you about 3 or 4 things that I think will be worth a mention, because the way I understand it is this single version is shipping from Sideshow any day now. Right, so as you can see, I've got him on the top shelf, which is where I reviewed Chris's version, the version with the chair. Again, I've just brought it back up here because I wanted it under the same light, just to show and pick up also on the colour. It seems to have been a big issue on the Sideshow freaks in particular. A lot of people saying that he is too silver and not blue enough. I do agree with that to an extent, but I watched the Blu-ray version pretty recently. It was a download, but I watched it on a I think it was just a 720 HD TV, and I will say it looked closer to this than I remember it being, because I were agreeing and saying, yeah, it's not blue enough, it's too silver. Now I think as you see it turning, you can see the violet sort of, is it pearlescent or iridescent colour that's going through it. There's sort of the metallic flakes in the paintwork that as it turns and catches the light, there's certain areas that do have that lilac shade. I will say it's not so much the helmet, it is more so the shoulders and the chest section. Again, you do see it on the legs slightly, but not so much as other parts. I mean, you do see it, it's not that it don't match, because it does, that's not what I'm saying. And I think if that metallic flake in the paintwork were blue, sort of a powder blue, I don't think there would be anybody complaining. But I do think, I can agree that the colour in general is too silver and not quite, would it be like gunmetal, I suppose. I think gunmetal would be the proper colour. This is possibly just too silver, but I do like the look of the figure, and I do like the lilac running through it, because it makes it look as if it's all die cast. Now, there is a large portion of it that's not die cast, but it's not really a problem when you get it in hand, and I think you will agree. So that is the first thing I wanted to pick up on. Right, the next thing I want to pick up on were an articulation problem. Or not a problem, but like I said, I didn't want to start ragging Chris's Robocop around. I thought I'll wait till I get my own and I'll have a better inspection. I've now had it about a week, and I've had a play with it, so to speak, and moved it around, and I realised that it is better than I actually give it credit for in the early review. So I'm going to now talk about this section. If you go back to my original video, I said when I tried to extend it, pretty much like the Iron Man figures do, I could only get Chris's to extend there. They just left a gap. So get close, Cal. Like in this section here, you can see where it's open, and that top section does articulate really well, a lot more than I did in the initial review. Also, with a bit more force, you can also get, just lines it up to there so you can see, you can also split it there, so just above the pelvis. So if I were to, it's actually harder to close it than it is to open it. So that's the bottom section closed, but still the top bit open, so you still get good articulation, as you can see. But like I say, with a bit of force, and depending on where you hold it, you can. It is stiff, you see. Then it's opened here as well, so now you get articulation all around. so you can really get more dynamic. So like I said, I did that. I'm not taking credit on that for being a shit reviewer, because it weren't a case of that. It was more a case that I didn't want to break another person's figure. So that is why that never really showed up. So credit to the figure again. It is better than I expected. Also, another thing I overlooked, looking down at the side at leg count. When I opened the holster on the side of the leg, if you remember, I sort of tipped the knee back, I pulled that open and swung it around behind, and then I pulled that section forward, which is how it does it. Again, really stiff because it's still brand new. And obviously, the gun slides out like I showed in the review. Now, somebody left a comment on Sideshow Freaks again saying it's not as articulated as the first one because the door on the leg doesn't work correctly. That was my mistake. Now, Chris could correct me on this because I never noticed that inside the back portion there is actually an hinge, as you can see. So that will fold up on itself as well, like so. Can you see that? Where on the first review I only swung the leg backwards, so that was my mistake. Like I said, I don't know if the early releases didn't have the hinge or I just didn't see it, but it does have an hinge and the leg works really, really well. So I'll just put that back, close that in. So that were another thing that I sort of missed, or don't know if I missed it or if I overlooked it. Now, looking up at the head, just drop his arms down. When I swapped out the head, like I say again, because I was handling with care, I sort of lifted that off, which is what you do. Now, I'm sure, and again, Chris or somebody with the chaired version could tell me this. In the instructions on the chaired version, it says that you actually push the chin strap downward, and then this will pop out easy. Now, it's easy to take out, but it were a nightmare to put in. If you remember, one of the faceplates, I could not get it in for love nor money. And I felt that it was that tight that if you were going to be sliding this plastic jaw section across it, then before long you're going to be pushing the paint off here. And I didn't like that. Now on this one, which obviously has been released later, it's the single version, the instructions actually tell excuse me, actually tell you to pop out. Can you see what I've done there? I mean, sure, you see my thumbs. It tells you to pop out the strap altogether. There's a cutaway here. There's a cutaway just inside there, and that pops in and out of that. Are you getting that shot? Here, so you pop that out. You can put the chin section in. Obviously, there's no paint. And then you wrap it back round, and you pop that back into the hole. Now, the chin is in as far as it will go. Now, obviously, the chin strap is still in contact with the faceplate, so it might still rub the chin over time, but it's definitely better than just moving this chin strap up and down. Again, somebody could correct me on this, because I don't know if it's the case that I read the instructions wrong or they've changed it on the second release. I hope that's the case, because the early release, I think we were going to have a lot of paint rub on the chin sections. So, yeah, they're just a few key points that I wanted to pick up on. Like I said, I do stand by my first review score-wise. But like I said, now this figure is mine. I'm free to mess around. If I break it, it's my own money, so to speak. But I just thought it was worth showing you the things that this one will do. And like I say, on Chris's, I don't know if it was a case that I was trying it right, but it didn't do it, or I just weren't being rough enough with it, so to speak. But I hope you've enjoyed that quick video. And like I say, I might do a full review on this, because obviously the scores will be different, the value will be different, the packaging score will be different, that sort of thing. So it might be worth doing it, although I'm not going to rush to it, because I have already put a review of the figure on. So that's it for the video. So for now, it's the Clipper King, and I'm out of here.